I built a URL shortener using Laravel and its API. Simply send a post request via its API to create a URL. Then when you enter the URL in a browser, it'll automatically redirect to the longer URL and track its hits in a database. All built in 3 minutes. To get started, open up your terminal and enter this command to create your project. Give it a name and let that whiz through to install your project. Navigate inside and we're going to create a couple of controllers, the redirect and URL controller. Then a model called URL with a migration called create URLs table. Let's open up the project in our IDE and start coding. Head to the migration you just created and we'll need to add in 3 columns to our URLs table. A text field called original for the original URL, a string called code with a length of 16 and a unique flag to avoid duplication, and an integer called visits to track the hits when somebody visits. Make sure the default is 0. Then in your URL model, add this fillable array so we can easily populate it later. Now for the big part, the controllers. Open up your URL controller. Replace the current users with these as we'll be needing them for later. Add a new public function, make sure it's invoke, and add a JSON response plus request. So we'll know what we'll receive in and return. Now it's time to validate the incoming request. URL is required, make sure it matches the URL format at a max 248 characters. Code is nullable, alphanumeric, minimum 3 and maximum 16 characters. As code is nullable, if it's not set, generate a random string. Now let's also check if the code already exists. If it does, return a response saying that the code is already taken with a 4222 error. At this point, validation is passed, so create the URL in our database with the original URL plus the code. Then return a JSON response with the data that we created in our database. The code, short URL, which is the URL path with the code, and the original URL, with a status 201 for successfully created. In the redirect controller, like before, replace the users for these as we'll need them later. Then add the invoke function with a redirect response and code in its parameters. Using our code, we can search our database for a record which matches it, grabbing the very first one in the database. If the URL is empty, we couldn't find anything, so abort 404. But if you have found something, increment the visit hit counter and then return a redirect away to the original URL. Lastly, there's a few minor things we need to do to make it all work. Head over to the roots folder and in web PHP, add a use for the redirect controller, then a get root / code, which points to the redirect controller, where the code matches the regular expression just for a bit of extra validation. Then a new PHP file called API. Add a use for the URL controller and root. Add a post root / shorten for the URL controller. Lastly, in your Bootstrap folder, open up app, you'll need to add in 1 line and you're done with your code. The API roots file you just created, you just need to make sure it's loading in your application and you're done with the coding. I'll assume you know how to run Laravel locally. I made another video about this if you want to check it out. If you're using SQLite for your database, use this command touch database to create your database file. Then do a PHP artisan migrate to build your database. To create the URL, open up terminal and use curl to post to the Laravel API. As I'm running locally, it's localhost API shorten with the URL and code as its parameters. Copy the code, then when I go to my browser, CWR will redirect to my website and log it in its database. And there we have it, a fully working URL redirector that's built in 3 minutes using Laravel and its API. I would love it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and definitely leave a comment. I love reading them, your feedback, and all your ideas you want me to create. With that, I'll see you in the next one.